Whatever you do, do not buy a new Apple Watch this year. And if you did, return it. Let me explain. If you found this video by it being suggested, I do all things related to Apple, the good and the bad. If that sounds like your thing, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, but more importantly, ring that notification bell so you won't miss my next video when I post it. Thank you. When the Apple Watch was introduced in 2014, it received the next big thing introduction. The features that were offered allowed people to do many of the basic functions on their wrist instead of having to pull out their phone, kind of like that. Now, people aren't going to be used to this today, but they introduced the watch in September 2014.
And it will be available early next year.
What did you say?
Early next year.
That's what I thought you said.
And it is worth the wait.
You know what your son just said.
Pre-sale or sale didn't go until April of 2015. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Now, obviously, Apple was not the first one to the smartwatch game, contrary to popular belief. Before Apple introduced their version of the smartwatch, tech companies were already trying out their versions of what you would do on your wrist. The first smartwatch, albeit a far cry from the sophisticated devices we have today, can be traced back to the early 70s. No. I'm definitely not going to go back that far. I want to just cover some that were decent smartwatches that were available on or a little before Apple. In 2013, a company by the name of Pebble was able to produce a Kickstarter-driven smartwatch that actually sold pretty well. Distribution, that was a different story. It was really well made, and it was using an e-reader style black and white display, which was absolutely fine. It lasted more than 4 days with heavy use, and the amount of things that this thing was able to do would blow people's minds.
It's perfect for me because it vibrates for all my notifications and incoming calls and texts. I'm one who used to miss all those calls and texts because my phone was in my pocket, and with Pebble, I'm sure not to miss any. In order to customize your Pebble, you do need to download the Pebble app from your respective app store.
Yeah, all of that. Oh, and it worked with Android and iOS. Not something that many companies were doing back then, or even today. Now, let's not leave Samsung out of this. They had some really good smartwatches around the same time that were also very well made, had the same features, but were obviously more mainstream. Okay, now that I've given you some history, let's jump to today. The Apple Watch series generations haven't gone through a ton of changes since their introduction.
They look exactly the same.
Except a higher price tag. The only real physical change that's been made over the 10 years was a slightly bigger screen. Now, the size of the bodies did change a little bit over the years, starting at 38 and 42 millimeter. Then later, with the series watches, the SE and the Ultra, we now have 40, 41, 44, 45, and of course 49 with the Ultra. Internally, these watches, yes, they've improved so much since day one. Cellular connectivity was added with the Series 3. Now, they updated the CPU every year, which helps with a better user experience. Third-party apps, which have really proven so valuable in things like health and working out and a bunch of other stuff. Now, I'll be the first to admit, I didn't really see the point of a smartwatch until they got to the Series 4. Yeah. Even then, it was really hard for me to justify why I would want to wear one. The point of the watch originally was to be an extension of the phone. First and foremost, to tell time. Duh. A quick check of the weather, text messages, and health tracking with the occasional phone call until you could get to your phone. Everything else, in my opinion, is just something that I really don't care that it's at my wrist every second of the day. With the minimal improvements made over the past 2 to 3 years, my recommendation to upgrade is don't do it. So with the announcements of the Series 9 and even the Ultra 2, the need to upgrade really honestly is kind of pointless. Apple's marketing for these watches for the past few years seems to be bands and watch color. The design is just old and tired in my opinion. When the Ultra was released last year, I was super excited to see something new. But the Ultra 2 is basically the Ultra with a brighter screen. Come on, Apple. I don't know about anyone else, but you know what? You could have easily appeased me with a different color. Some people may think that's stupid, and that's fine. Even if you have an older Apple Watch, I highly recommend even waiting till next year to see what Apple has in store for their 10th anniversary. There's been many rumors about a more squared off design that complements the iPhone. Now, the renders look cool with the colors, but I'm not sure if that's the answer. The other popular rumor is a circular design, which is something people have been begging for. Me. However, when it comes to the function of the watch, chances are it's not going to offer anything that will change your life. I say that and then things happen to save people lives, so...
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
You know what I mean. Most likely, it's just going to be an aesthetics update, which would be a first for this watch. I know, I said I'd be happy with a different color Ultra. But you know what? At least that's like a new body that just came out. Give me some colors, man. Apple simply changing the color on the series watches, in my opinion, has run its course. 4 years of doing that to the aluminum color is too much. Look, many people are probably going to watch this and say, meh, I want to get the new color because I like it. That's totally fine. If you have the money, go for it. I'm trying to help people who aren't sure if they want to drop 400 plus bucks on a new watch that looks almost exactly the same as their Series 8, 7, and even 6, possibly back further. Not to leave out that the older watches still kind of do the same thing the newer watches do. Now, this isn't a phone where the camera or battery has gotten better. Well, maybe the battery a little bit, but still not great. The software experience on the older watches is slower, which is to be expected.
Or is it?
No, I'm not saying Apple is slowing these down. I'm not saying that either. Like I recommend for phones, you don't have to get the newest watch if you don't want to. But unlike phones, watches may not offer the same value as the new market. Now, I was looking at the Series 1 Apple Watch to perhaps pick one up for a video. New ones on eBay are still going for around 100 bucks. The used ones, depending on the size, were selling around 40 to 80 bucks. Now, just as a side note, the Series 1 may be more in demand because it's the first one. I looked up a Series 7 45mm cellular, brand new. They're going for 300 to 350 bucks. Considering the Series 9 with the same spec is 429 bucks, it may not be worth it to some people to pick up a 2-year-old watch. In my opinion, I would just wait to see if something worthwhile is announced next year that isn't the same old, same old. If you want to see what's going on with the new iPhones, check out this playlist right here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you won't miss my hands-on videos of the new Apple Watches. See ya.